Have you decorated for Christmas yet? We have. And while we did, it kind of turned into a decluttering, purging weekend. It's hard for it not to when you're taking down and putting up all the decor and going through storage and so forth. And now I need this message in this episode today. So I thought you might too. I interviewed my friend and organizer, Kristina Borseti, on episode 108. I also was sharing my own story on her podcast, sharing my story, my wellness actions, how clutter is an anxiety trigger, and how to prioritize and organize your time. It's a packed full episode, but put together in a clear, concise package. Since it's now the season for clutter, whether you're getting ready to purge it all or do it all after Christmas, or decor is like clutter to you, I wanted to share this episode with you. So many things can be stressors this time of year, and that sends us into anxiety. So let's simplify, declutter, organize, and plan for less stress. Now, any thoughts, feelings, questions that pop up for you during this episode, or you are stressed about the holiday season in any way, let's chat about it. Just a free 15-minute stress relief chat with me can really help. We can figure out what's going on and how we can reduce the stress together. Go to bit.ly/chat with Shan, ChatWithShan. Also, is the stress Christmas gifts? Then come join Jenna Michael, author of Let's Choose Less, and I on Tuesday. Now, if you're listening in real time, that would be tomorrow, but Tuesday, November 19th, in the Facebook group to chat Christmas gifts and how to keep Jesus as the main gift for our kids this season. It will be live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on 11/19, but you can catch the replay in the group, Simple Wellness Solutions for Motherhood Stress, at any time. Go to bit.ly/holistic hacks if you are not already in the group. Go to that link and you can join the group and the conversation on Christmas gifts. Now, here's my conversation with Kristina on the Organized on Purpose podcast. Hey mama, are you stressed by the lack of time in the day to do all the things? Are you feeling disconnected from God, your husband, and even your kids because patience and presence seem out of reach? Do you want a healthier body, mind, spirit, and home, but overwhelmed in where to start? Hey, I'm Shan Wright, daughter of the king, wife, mom to 4, RN, wellness coach, and I know very well what it feels like to want to live well, but about to lose it with my very blessed full life. After realizing I can't pour from an empty cup, I tracked my way to whole body wellness and so much peace. If you are ready to cancel the stressed out life, learn tactical, intentional strategies as a mom wearing many hats, find more peace, confidence, and joy raising kingdom kids, then listen in. Come on, mama, together we got this. Really, God's got this. So go heat up that coffee again and turn your listening ears on. Let's chat.
All right, friends, we are here with my friend Shannon Wright. I love your name. It's so fun. She's the best. And just, you guys can't see her, but she has the most beautiful smile on. She is a light. She hears me say it all the time. I'm like, you are such a light in my life. You give me the glow up. You just make me so happy to be around. You have such great energy and you're helping so many women navigate anxiety and change their belief systems. And you've done that by just osmosis, by me just being around you, right? But I know it wasn't always like that, friend. So I want you to share your testimony.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. My testimony, let's see. Okay, let's go back to school age. I'll tell you a little thing that's a fun fact, but also a little bit into my personality, is that I got perfect attendance from the moment I started preschool and till I graduated high school. I would say through college too. I never skipped a college class. Perfect attendance. That means I never even got sick, guys. Actually, I was sick once. I had a fever and I went to school. But the thing is, I was prone to perfectionism. and I wanted to be perfect. I was actually a middle child, but also oldest child because we had some divorce in our family. But I was always trying to be the good girl, like fly under the radar, not upset my parents, just be that little angel that didn't do anything wrong. I also wanted to be good at sports, good at academics, just good at everything, be a good Christian girl and not break the rules. And this led way through growing up, and it got me to nursing school. And I realized that I'm not going to be perfect at nursing school. And I got my first C, and that broke my little heart. And I started to realize I had some anxiety. I didn't call it that. I actually did call it test anxiety, very specific. It was just test anxiety. And there was nothing majorly wrong with me, but I got too overwhelmed with the test and I didn't test well. And so I started seeing a counselor in college. She helped me graduate. Without that, I don't know if I would have made it through nursing school. I eventually did and went on. Fast forward, I met my husband and was like, okay, now I got to be a perfect wife. I love marriage. I was so enamored with the idea of finally finding someone. I felt like I was really old. I was 27 and I was like, wow, finally. And I always wanted to be a mom. I actually didn't even want to go into nursing school. I just wanted to be a mom, right? We had babies within, I guess, our first year of marriage. And then I wanted to be a perfect mom. And I did not know this whole time that underneath this perfectionism was anxiety. And it was always striving for perfection is not what God calls us to do. He doesn't want us to be stressed out, always striving to be perfect, because we can never reach that bar. He's the only perfect one. And when we're trying to do everything on our own, we're not relying on him for dependence and just strength. And we're just have all this pride, right? It's just like a lot of pride. I was just living that way, just thinking it was part of me. It was just part of my way it was made. It was a good thing because I was always trying for good things. It wasn't like I was trying to be perfectly bad. I was always trying for good. So it led me in a lot of good directions. And it wasn't until my third pregnancy that I had major bout of postpartum anxiety. So again, I had the anxiety all throughout growing up, but I didn't call it that. I called it stress, overwhelm, test anxiety, just overwhelmed with life. And it was at that point that I heard, like, I think it was a podcast interview. And I was like, this girl was sharing her story of postpartum anxiety. And I started to cry. And I was like, I think this is me. I had a newborn and two toddlers, and remember having some time alone with God and journaling. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. It's really hard to have the perfect business. I had a business at the time. Well, I still do. This was a Etsy shop where I created a lot of things at the time. And I was trying to run that even with a newborn. I was like, yep, the shop's open. I'm ready to make stuff. So do that, have the perfect home, make all the good food. I loved cooking, but it was like, it had to be really good food, really good meal all the time. Yeah, the perfectly behaved kids, just all the things. And I was like, God, I can't do all these things perfect. I can't. And I was, having pressure from family. You don't answer my phone call right away and my text message. And I'm like, I can't be the perfect sister. I can't be the perfect daughter. I can't be all these things. I need help. And God helped me by saying, you don't have to. I'm not going to help you be perfect at all these things. What I want you to do is stop. I want you to stop trying to be perfect. I want you to stop doing all the things. All these things are not for you right now. He's so kind, so loving, so gracious. He knew in that moment on the verge of the anxiety attack that I couldn't take any more things. So he took all the things away and gave me 4 very small, simple, 4 wellness actions to take. In that season, it was like, these are the 4 things, Shannon, that I want you to focus on. And this is how you're going to get your mind back. Because I was like, I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy. This is how you're going to get your wellness back. And so the 4 simple things were spend time with him. That needed to be a priority. My other priority was to spend time with my husband, equaling date nights. Like it needed to be a solo time, just us as parents, just us as a couple. The third thing was to prioritize my physical wellness. I needed to move my body in some way. And then the 4th thing was that I needed to prioritize girlfriend time, friends, social relationships. Those were the 4 things. And so it was like perfectly clean house wasn't on that list. Perfect dinners weren't on that list. My kids can mess up. They can misbehave. I don't need to have perfect kids. Like, oh, okay. It was like a little mental tracker. It's so vivid in my mind the day that he gave that to me. And that was 7 years ago. And it was, okay, these are the things. that I need to focus on, then I have peace. So yeah, I started working on those things and focusing them. It gave me so much more peace and calm, less stress, less anxiety. Then came my fourth pregnancy. Now I'm still prone to anxiety. So my fourth pregnancy came, and it was actually my main pregnancy symptom. God was preparing my heart. He was preparing me for this new journey. And I did not know what was coming 2020, but my son was born on March 9th, 2020. It was a very anxious time for the world. And I was so glad that he was preparing me that whole pregnancy. And there was things and steps that I put in place. We ended up losing my sister during those newborn days. And then obviously COVID. It was just a very anxious time. But I had this peace that passes all understanding. If you know the Bible verse, you know what I'm talking about. I was anxious. It says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything with prayer and petition and thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace that passes all understanding will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. It does not say you're not going to be anxious. It says when you are, like it doesn't say when, but it says do not be, but it knows be. Be is a state of being. It knows that God knows, Paul knows, like we're going to be anxious. That's what we are. Like we're a people that worry. And when you are, present your request to God with prayer, petition, thanksgiving. I, on repeat, was practicing gratitude and getting out of this anxious state, really building up these tools and strategies and tactics to holistically manage my stress. Long story short, that led me to where I am today, because at that point started again, focusing on my physical wellness, because that's one of my four things. And it led me into a wellness supplement that led into a business that led podcasting and coaching. And today, that's a little bit of a nutshell of, I guess, my testimony.
Yeah, no, that's
of anxiety.
awesome. No, thank you for sharing that. I always appreciate that. I know sometimes, well, no, all the time, and regardless of what we've worked through, it can be challenging to share those difficult parts of our life and how we got from point A to point B. But when we get to talk about point B, it's so much better because we can say that God has helped us get to the specific point. A couple of questions I had that popped up. What drove your perfection? Why did you feel the need to be perfect? And then what was the barometer for perfection?
A few things. So what drove it? I was one of five, and there was a lot of chaos, again, from a divorced family. So my sisters had a different dad, and there was a lot of back and forth. I would say not a very, for lack of a better word, it's not very stable childhood. There was a lot of financial stress in our family growing up. We were in several different homes, things that were going on around me that it was like, what can I control? What can I take care of that no one else has to take care of it? And I don't have to bother anyone. I don't have to cause any more issues. Let me be as quiet as I can, good as I can, control the things that I can. And that led to perfection. Like when we are trying to be perfect, we're trying to control everything. I heard this just the other day. Another way to describe anxiety is loss. Like you don't want to lose anything. And so that connects completely to perfectionism. Like if you're losing something, then that brings that, oh no, I didn't do something right or perfect. And so that brings up that stress. It all is part of it. Another thing that I would say is I was labeled as this. Because I was a good girl, I had good behavior. I was more reserved and the middle of five children. So kind of just went in with the flow. I was told I was shy. I was told I'm a perfectionist, and I was told these things. I am even just the good girl. Like I'm the good one. I'm the perfect child. I'm the favorite child. All these things, they sound like good ways to describe someone. But when we hear these things, these labels, these identity markers, we take them and we live them out. And as a child, we have to be so careful as to how we're speaking to our kids, what words we're putting out in the world, into the atmosphere, because they take them, they hear them, and they become part of them. Like, did God call them that? Does God say that's what they are? If not, then do not call them that. Be very careful. Like even just being the good girl, like I'm the good one. I'm the good girl. That's a good thing. But that led to me always trying to be the good girl. And I felt like I could do no wrong. I felt like if I mess up, then I'm not living up to who I'm supposed to be. I'm not living up to this label. I am not living up to this identity. That was a really hard thing to grow up with. to answer your question, I was identified in these ways that made me have to constantly live up to that so that I didn't ruffle feathers.
That's interesting when you were saying that, because when I look back on my childhood, I feel like the reason that I struggled for a lot of time was because I didn't identify in any way. No one was ever saying, "Oh, you're a good girl," or "You're bad." There was just sort of in limbo my whole life. So it's interesting how that all plays into who we are today. And it also is a good reminder of how we talk to our children as we're learning how to parent. And I, only have the one. So whatever happens, happens, God willing, it's all good. And talking about your 4 main wellness actions, had you been already prioritizing God, or, when those things came together, did you feel like they weren't your 4 main pillars at the time? Or it was just as I am doing these things and I need to just simplify?
No, that's a good question. I was doing those 4 things. This was God's hand. I went to a Christian private college. So our nursing program was unique. They taught us holistic wellness, and they taught us that we are spiritual beings in physical form, that we have all these different wellness areas and they're all connected. They taught us holistic wellness. And then I went into the real nursing world and realized that's not how people practice. That's not how I am. How can I possibly care for this patient and care for their spiritual wellness? Like, there's no time for this. It's not how the nursing world works in reality. And so I never felt like I was being a great nurse, because I was like, I want to care for this person way more. Anyway, I got out of the nursing world. God had me put nursing on the back burner with my second kid. And that was a really, really hard identity time for me. I spent a year learning that what we do is a role that we play, not who we are. It's not our kingdom identity. Even being a mom, which that's hard to say. Being a mom is not your identity. Being a mom is a role. It's a blessing. It's a gift you've been given to being given a child, or even not even maybe it's your own child, but you're a mother role. You're playing a mother role in someone's life. You can do that as an aunt or as a friend. It doesn't matter. It's a role that you play, but it can always be taken away. If it's something that can be taken away from you, it's not part of your identity. And it took me a year of praying and talking to God through this, and him teaching me this. Then he led me from that on, I want to solidify who you are, your kingdom identity. And that was a very long process. That led me to caring for my whole person, my holistic wellness. I have 8 wellness areas that I like to talk about. So it's mental, emotional, social, physical, spiritual, of course, occupational, financial, and environmental. Those are the areas that I like to talk about. And he's like, you're all of that. And so you have to care for all of that. So it was really God saying, hey, you're doing all of it, and it's stop. You're already doing these 4 things. These are the only 4 things I want you to do, because it actually takes care of all 8 wellness areas. It actually takes care of your holistic person in this season. All the other stuff can, in this season, not matter as much.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because being from your field, and that always butcher this word. It's biophysiosocial. It's that whole, the all wellness. I can spell it better than I can say it.
I don't even use that word enough.
I know. It was something Precision Nutrition had taught. I think that's one of their cornerstone things. It was just like all the wellness areas are what contribute to what is happening with your health, right? There was a question that came up a lot, of course, was how do we balance all of these areas that you've answered that with? If you do these 4 things, if you focus simply on these 4 pillars, which I'm going to ask you to repeat again in just a moment, then all those things will be covered in his grace. So one more time, I just want you to, in case someone missed it before, the 4 main wellness actions. I just mentioned those 4, and then I'll move on.
These were for me. I think it's a time that you spend with God and ask him in this season, what 4 areas. I started focusing on these 4 areas, and then building up these other creative habits. Again, this was 7 years ago, building. And then it was just last year, so 6 years into it, that the Lord told me, this is the year you need to focus on your financial wellness. This is your focus all year. I need you to get well in this area. You have anxiety. I had major financial anxiety. I needed to get rid of that. That was the time and the season and the place to focus there, because I already had all my wellness habits created. They were part of my life. It's how I was living. So then I could take a moment and focus in one area. Does that make sense? So yeah, the 4 for me were spending time with God, which I definitely think that can be a pillar for everyone. Another one is date nights with my spouse. So that can just be relationships, your social wellness. Like it needs to be a priority. And that can look like a church community. That can look like a marriage. That can look like just a mother-daughter relationship. It can look very differently depending on who you are. So, but knowing that God calls us to love him and love others. If you're not well socially, then you really are you doing the golden rule? Like, are you loving others, And then the other one was taking care of our bodies. We are a temple. And so for me, it was move your body 30 minutes a day. Physical wellness, if you take a physical wellness action step, you're also taking care of your emotional wellness, your mental wellness, even spiritual wellness. So get walking, get moving, and just see how all the neurons connect. So that's going to take care of a lot of wellness areas, actually. And then the other one was, again, back to social wellness. And I think that was also taking care of my emotional and mental wellness at the time, being that I was in this state of where the enemy really likes to get us isolated, in a state of anxiety and depression and dark. I wasn't into depression, but that's where he likes to take us, right? Into a state of very easily could be like, okay, kids, we got to hone in. We got to just stay at home. I can't go out and about. I can't get these 3 kids out of the house. I have anxious. I have a newborn. Like, I'm just going to stay home and tucker it in for the next couple weeks. That's what the enemy wants. So it was like, nope, you got to go out. You got to have play dates, and you actually have to have friendships without the kids. Like, you have to go have a dinner and tell your husband this needs to get on the calendar. Where's the enemy attacking your holistic wellness? And fight back in the action steps that God tells you to, because it could be in a lot of different ways. For me at that time, in that state of anxiety, it was, let's just live out this season without doing so much. And it was like, no, you need to be around friends and people and moms that get it.
I mean, scientifically, we're not meant to be living in silos. We're supposed to be in tribes. So that makes sense. I want to come back to the fact that perfectionism can have some benefits, in the sense of it has helped you to plan and organize your life, which is where you are here successfully. So there's some good to be taken with that, of course. We were talking a little bit about your ABCs of organizing your schedule, but so you can find more time for your holistic wellness, right? So I want you to talk to me and the audience about that some more.
Yeah. So, because we want to create more time, energy, peace, and presence. These are the things that I hear the most that moms want, right? We want more time. We want more energy. We want more just peace in our life, less stress, less anxiety. And we want to be present. We don't want to miss the moment. Those are the things that I hear. So I'm like, how can I help moms plan and prepare so that they can have those things? And I came up with my ABCs of organizing your schedule. So the ABCs, well, I took it back to nursing school, and the ABCs of nursing is like, you need an airway. So it's airway, breath, circulation. So that's how you bring someone back to life. And air, these are the things on your schedule. Again, let's just take a typical week at home. These are the things on your schedule that are necessary. They're for breath of life. They give you life. They are for your holistic wellness. They're the 4 pillars maybe that God told you need to have on your schedule. Therefore, again, your family. You have to look at your whole family, and they bring life to your family as a unit. They are non-negotiables. You're going to put them on your calendar first. You're looking at the week. And again, we're planning. So this is like a weekend looking towards the week ahead. We have to plan this stuff out so that we have more peace when it comes. You're going to put down the A's. These are the non-negotiables. You're going to mark them down in red. They're not getting missed. Only then. Oh, sorry. I forgot the prerequisite of all of this. You're going to unburden with God. You're going to put everything down and brain dump, because another thing that we really, really struggle with as moms is mental fatigue and constant decision making, because we have all the appointments, all the schedules, all the thoughts, feelings, everyone in our head. So we need to get it all on paper and give it to God. Here's all that's here. Here's the things I have to do. Here's the things I want to do. These are the things that this kid's feeling. These are the things my husband's thinking, feeling. Put it all down. Then ask him, what are the necessary things? You tell me, what are the things that give us life? What are the things that we need to do? So first off is a meeting with God and brain dumping it all. Then A's go in. Then the B's. These B's are borders. I put them as borders because they can go in for certain time slots. They can be optional. They can also be delegated. They can also be, we need to get to the store, this particular store this weekend. weekend, this week. We can move it around. It could be Tuesday. I could get there by Thursday. Maybe you can go and pick it up, or, it can be moved around. It's not set in stone. It's not a necessary thing, but it actually does need to get done. It could be the kids' activities because, newsflash, they don't have to go to 10 activities every week. The kids' schedules are so full that we don't have time to live life, and it makes us crazy. And if you have multiple kids and there are multiple sports and activities, no wonder you won't have any time on your schedule. Guys, they're not going to go play professional and all these things. And I know you want to give them the world, but is it bringing them life? It might be exhausting them too. So anyway, we have to look at all that. I can get on a hot box about that. We need to be careful and where these borders go and when and where we put them and what we say yes to and what we say no to. And then C is creative. I call them creative because it's really good stuff that you want to get done. You feel your creative juices flowing. Oh, I could do that. That would be really great. If there's time, don't stress yourself out and steal from the present moment to get that thing done because you need to be present. And so I think a lot of times we struggle with prioritizing. And when you can look at the ABCs and prioritize appropriately with God in mind and ask Him, then we can just have more peace because we're not trying to do all the things. Not all the things have the same pressure to get done right then and there.
That's so true. I love that you brought it back to nursing and that you used the acronym. It makes sense. Those needs that we have to meet, that we should meet if we're going back to 4 main wellness actions and putting those together when we're planning, that is going to help clarify all the things. We were talking a bit during my interview with you about, for instance, walking into the mudroom, which you said is a pain point for you, the mud room, and all of these things being present, that you feel like you need to clean up and take care of right away, even though you perhaps had already planned ahead of time, right? You went through ABCs, you planned ahead of time, and now you walked in and all these things are right in front of your feet. Oh, I have to clean this up right now. It's stressing me out. And because, of course, this is organizing and decluttering podcast, I do want to talk to you about that because you are helping women get rid of anxiety. And we're trying to understand the things that trigger us, that trigger that anxiety. And something like clutter, when you walk into your mudroom, it's all there. That's maybe unexpected, or maybe it is expected, can trigger that anxiety. So tell me how you, and tell the audience how you are able to offset that trigger. How do you manage it?
Yeah. So I think you also have to think about your space. So for us, I would love it to be like a mud room that was like off the garage. You only see it when you first walk in and then you don't see it anymore. Well, actually how ours is, because we've done some reconstructing to our house, you come in from the garage. This is the door that we come in 10 times a day, in and out. And it's an entryway. We created cubby area. And so everyone has their own cubby and hook and shoe drawer. And it's very nice looking, but then there's stuff everywhere. And it's right off the kitchen and the dining room. So it's like in between the kitchen and dining room. We're not only seeing it when we come in and when we go 10 times, we're passing through it and it's in eye vision all day long if you're downstairs in the main area of the house. This was all great concept when we created it. But being that we do have 4 kids and a lot of stuff, it was like I didn't realize in the moment how much of a trigger it was going to be for our stress and anxiety, me and my husband. I'm one likes to plan and prioritize when I do clean and when I do declutter and when I organize things. And so I might have in my mind, I'm going to get to that this weekend. I have full schedule. I have it on my list as a creative thing that we're going to do over the weekend. I can spend a good hour on it. I have it set aside, but I also live with 5 other people. And so I can literally see it increasing my husband's anxiety and his stress. If I know this is a trigger for him, then I need to make it a priority on how to help in this way as soon as possible. So it actually kind of turns into more of an A activity. It needs to be a priority because it is in this season, it's a big trigger. It's not always been that way, especially in the summer when we had a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, 5 and 7. They had little baby shoes. They have no coats, no bags. We just put their shoes in the way and it's clean. It's like in that season, I was like, I love this space. It's so pretty during the school year. And now they're grown and they have 10 shoes each. I'm like, why? Again, we got to declutter the shoes. It gets messier in different seasons. And then I literally do not like winter for the fact that it's coat season. And then we have the coats on top of the bags and all the things. It's a stressor in different ways in different seasons. So I have to know that. I had to think about that and be like, plan for that. And no, it's going to increase our stress. It is a trigger in this season at this time of year. It gets more heightened. And what system do I have in place to fix that? I was just telling him, I'm like, wow, these kids have grown. I bet you they can hang up their own bags. I bet you they can reach the hooks now. And so let's spend 2 minutes and teach them to stand up on the bench and hang up their bag when they get home from school. Now that would take 2 minutes of my time, but I actually need to, because that's not part of my routine. I need to actually say, you know what I love? I love reminders on my phone or little alarms. So I need to set an alarm on my phone when I know the kids are coming home from school and I need to meet them at the door. Cause honestly, I don't always meet them at the door. Meet them at the door and say, hey guys, we're going to learn how to put our bags on the hooks today. And then we're going to do this every other day. It's like growing with your kids and like learning the different things in the different seasons that bring triggers for your stress and your anxiety and the clutter, how it changes. Grow with it and learn with it and implement. And we can create these systems that work for us. It just takes a little bit of thought and preparation to put it into action, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. It's going to lower the stress.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And as you said, and I'll point out again, different seasons. We actually physically have different seasons. We all don't live in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about winter coats there. You're lucky if you have new listeners. I do have some listeners in Brazil. I think it's pretty warm there all the time. I have no idea. But I understand. Yeah, the winter coat thing is such a thing. I actually am thinking about that right now because our closet where we do store our coats is on the other side of the house from where we walk in. So we'll be figuring that out.
Us too. Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
I know. And
who made this house? I'd like to talk to them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good times, but we'll figure it out and have a good laugh along the way, because if you can't have some fun with it, sometimes it can turn into so serious depending on, what else is going on in your life. And as we've said that we get triggered really easily, but can we have a laugh at it, right? Can we have a...
Yeah, I mean, and you have to it is funny for me. And then it's like, well, you got to lighten up a little bit and you live with other people too. So help them see the humor in it some of the time. But I also was going to say, you do have to make the space work for you too. There's so many times me and my husband are reevaluating, and this is really good when we go stay some time, a vacation, or just visit my parents or wherever at someone else's house. And then we come back to our house and we're like, this isn't working. This area isn't working right now in this season with these ages of kids or with this weather. This isn't working. What can we do? Think about how you want the systems to work for you and you want the space to work for you so that you can live in more peace.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we are going to wrap up the show. I appreciate your time and so much good information in this podcast episode. I love the wellness actions, the ABC of organizing. And if there's a place that we can find that written that I can send people, where would that be possibly?
Well, that is not written, but I have a whole podcast episode on it.
There you go.
I don't know, honestly, off the top of my head, what episode it is, but my podcast is Holistic Moms. Anywhere you stream podcasts, there's a lot of episodes on time scheduling, time blocking, organizing your time, creating more time, finding more time, energy, and peace. I'm all about getting back to the brain and how your beliefs are wired in there and changing them and reprogramming them and centering your heart on God and His truth and not all the lies of the world and the enemy, because we're constantly bombarded with lies and clutter and chaos, confusion. Whew. We serve a God of order and peace, and He is not a God of confusion. And so that's what we're doing. We're pursuing wellness goals, but completely mindset and spiritual life driven, all the prayer, all the belief work. So it's been, I don't know where God's going to take it, but I'm so excited to find out. Hey, Wellness Warrior, I pray that blessed you. And if so, it would bless me big if you would write a 5-star review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Not only would this make me super happy, but it will allow for others to find this show too. Also, I love to chat over on Instagram, so make sure to take a screenshot, share to your Instagram stories, and tag me at @TheShanWright so I can see it and we can keep chatting and bring other moms to chat with us. Until we get to chat again, mama friend, may the Lord's face shine upon you and give you peace.